one free agent the 49ers will regret not re-signing. Niners have a lot of impending free agents. A lot of them aren't going to come back. The Niners have to be very selective. Which one do you think they're going to let go and regret, and why?
I think about this, the one I put when I wrote this about a week ago or so. Well, when I wrote about this, I picked Kendrick Bourne. I know Trent Williams be one that they could probably see only because, the same thing that you wrote, Grant. I could see Daniel Brunskill being a left tackle too, and maybe Brunskill's having a bad stretch, and all of a sudden it's like, man, we should have just paid Trent, like that short-term thing. But to me, I'm thinking that the player that we're regret not re-signing in a way will be Kendrick Bourne. Not just basically because he's more than just production. He's a reliable wide receiver, no matter who the quarterback was out there. And that was pretty much, a revolving door at that position with Beathard, Mullins, and Garoppolo. And it's like, no matter who was back there, there was Bourne to make that efficient, that clutch catch. He's just dependable. He's someone that's easy to have that connection with. And not just there. What about the locker room standpoint? How much high on the totem pole Kyle Shanahan has held Kendrick Bourne. I mean, he said like this guy is like, kind of reminds me of my son in a way. That's how much like the two got close, and just the way that Bourne relates to other teammates and more in the locker room. And it's more than just like locker room teammates. It's just like everyone just vibes off him, and he's someone with tenure. So I think that's someone that if he's gone, for all the tenured players, they miss him. Not specifically so much the impact. I'm sure they'll miss out in a way that efficiency, but I just think just for the way his role is on the team.
Yeah, that's the guy that I was going to go with, was Kendrick Bourne as well. He's their top red zone receiver, and so losing him, that's going to could possibly hinder the offense if they don't find somebody to take over that role, and that can actually, if he's not back in 2021, because he usually will have one or two games a season where he struggles with catching the ball, but other than that, he's really solid, and he's the one guy of the receiving corps, not only the catching, but he's the one guy that's always there. He's the one guy that hasn't been hurt and isn't missing time as a result of injury. So that consistency of being able to play, the ability to make the plays in the red zone and come up with big catches when it's needed, they'd really miss that if they don't have him back next year.
I think Kerry Hyder would be one they would regret. And I know I said, I think last week that he would be my guy for possibly regressing, just because I thought he was very, very good last year. And I don't know if he can repeat that, but I think he's still important to this defense because D Ford, health is a question mark if he's even on the team next year. Nick Bosa, we're not sure if he'll be 100% when he first comes back. He'll be great when he's on the field, but we don't know how well he'll recover, at least at the start of the year. And then you have a bunch of free agents behind those guys, whether you bring them back. So they need Hyder. He can play all three downs. He allows Armstead to slide in more, which is where he's much better. And they need some bodies, and I think Hyder is healthy, at least last year, and he provides depth and would be able to play on either side depending on how Bose is feeling, how Eric Armstead is defending, and I think they need that third defensive end.
Those are really good choices. I was originally going to go with Kendrick Bourne, although I don't think they should resign him. It's just that they're going to miss him because the guys in front of him miss games and he doesn't. And when those guys are out and it's time for Kendrick Bourne to be the starter for a month, he won't be there. So they will miss him, I think. But they're in a tough spot. What are you going to do? Kerry Hyder's another one. If they let him go, they're going to miss him. But he might be expensive. I mean, DNs that get 8.5 sacks sometimes get $85 million the next year or close to it just because they did that. I don't know. They may not be able to bring him back. I'm thinking a guy that they could bring back and might just let go because they think he's done, but maybe tougher to replace than they realize, is K'Wan Williams. He's almost 30, and he's not a priority for them. Is he a priority for anyone? But they may be able to bring him back on a reasonable deal and say, you know what, we're just going to go another direction. Why don't you go to New York with Robert Saleh? And he really is the only playmaker in their secondary, or one of only him and Jason Verrett. As good as Jimmy Ward is, that's not what he does. He's not a big playmaker guy. He doesn't blitz and get sacks. He doesn't turn the ball over. That's what K'Wan does. And he does. He's a cheap playmaker. He's got to be the cheapest playmaker in the league, or the cheapest vet playmaker. So though I think they'll regret not re-signing him because they could. I guess Kyle Juszczyk would fill in the same boat, but I think they're going to bring Kyle Juszczyk.